Israel today assassinated Muhammad Afif. Muhammad Afif is the spokesperson of Hezbollah. This man is a political figure. He is a non-combatant. This man speaks to the media. It's like correspondence, right? And Hezbollah, they have representatives also in the Lebanese parliament. And this man is one of them, Muhammad Afif. They targeted him where? Where did they target him? When did they target him? Why did they target him? And what is that going to do when it comes to the situation in Lebanon and the talks of a ceasefire? Because we had reports in Israel from the main broadcasting channel, Khan 11. They said that actually Lebanon accepted a ceasefire. Lebanon accepted a ceasefire, they said, and we're just waiting on a confirmation. We're just waiting on a confirmation from the Hezbollah to speak with the Lebanese government and confirm the ceasefire. There is no backing to that, by the way. This is totally unsubstantiated. There is no evidence that this is happening. What is happening, though, that we are hearing talks about a ceasefire. So Muhammad Afif, spokesperson for Hezbollah, and he only deals with the media in general. And he had meetings in open places and press conferences. But today he was targeted in the heart of Beirut, not the southern suburb of Beirut, Beirut itself, and where he was targeted in the building of the Ba'ath party that belongs to the Syrian government. The Ba'ath party that holds the building, it's a political movement, political party. The whole building is used for political purposes. There was a meeting between political parties in the area, and they targeted him there. So they are now not only targeting, of course, Hezbollah, they're targeting political establishments too, and they are also sending a message to the Syrian government. Why are they sending a message to the Syrian government? Because the Syrian government, of course, within Syria in general, there is a very big link between the resistance fronts and Syria. Most of what Hezbollah gets, or a very large chunk of it to be more specific, comes through Syria. Many of the resistance movements are established and based in Syria, alongside the coordination and the link between Iran and Russia, as well, something that the United States, Israel, and NATO are trying to take down, but are failing, because now we have talks about mediation and improving the relations with Turkey as well, because they were very much at odds with the Syrian government too. The defense minister of Iran was in Damascus yesterday or the day before, and Ali Larijani, one of the senior figures in the establishment in Iran, also was in Syria after he was in Lebanon. They are increasing coordination, and there are rumors, and nothing that we can verify, that something is cooking, something is being prepared when it comes to Syria's involvement too. Why? Because in the negotiation process with Lebanon, unlike the negotiation process with Gaza, for the first time we had Russia and Syria being involved. How? Russia potentially as a guarantor, and as a side that the United States administration would hope to press on Syria and try and ban the transport of weapons from Syria to Lebanon. Something that the Russians refused. Russia outright said it is not within our military duties to observe or monitor weapons being channeled from Syria to Lebanon. Saying, well, we're happy to talk, Russia's saying, we're happy to talk, we're happy to try and reach a ceasefire and participate in mediation. We want stability and peace in the region too. However, not by your parameters, not by your parameters. That also indicated that Russia would be potentially involved in the ceasefire that's happening in Gaza, by the way. Meaning there was something being prepared or coordinated potentially before the Iranian anticipated attack on Israel. That could include Syria. And mind you, Russia and Israel have had very tough conversations in recent weeks following Israel's increased attacks on bases that are used by Russia. Russia has several bases in Syria, and they have the Hamimim base, they have a port, and their presence in Syria is very much there, and they have also presence next to the occupied Golan Heights. What is Israel trying to achieve with this? Firstly, a continuation of Israel's attempts to cover up their military failure and humiliation. In the past couple of days, Hezbollah annihilated Israel with hundreds of missiles on Haifa, landing on military bases, on genocide bases. One of the most intense, if not the most intense attack on Haifa in particular happened yesterday. And what people need to understand as well is that these records, right, they're being broken day after day. So just days before the attacks yesterday, we had a record attack on Haifa. And Haifa is the economic gate of Israel. It's very important. So Israel is trying to cover up that failure by targeting senior figures. Is Muhammad Afif, is this man here, is he launching missiles? Is he launching the missiles arriving at the occupied state? No. The occupied entity? No. Is he sending the drones? He's not sending the drones. Is he running the show on the ground, as in between? No, he's not doing any of that. He is a political figure, a spokesperson. But Israel knows that this man is known to the media, and let's target him. Let's target him. Of course, they might have had a grudge with him too, because he was the person who declared that they indeed tried to assassinate Benjamin Netanyahu. Next time they might not be lucky. And the Israelis are generally like very pity like that. You know, they like to kind of hit back because he said that. Childish. Why? Because you're using all of your resources to take this man down. That will have no effect whatsoever on the hundreds of missiles landing on your genocide state every single day. Nothing whatsoever. And we saw that happening today. Dozens of attacks again. Now, sirens now, right? Here you go. Kiryat Shmona and surroundings. Dozens of operations from Hezbollah. That's a publication of their total number of attacks. Here you go. There's 17 from the published ones, okay? 17 attacks between 6, unless they're well, one from the last night, and then 16 attacks from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. That's what it's doing. And don't be surprised if tomorrow we have even a bigger escalation coming from Hezbollah. And again, a message to Syria for the participation, the meetings that they had with Iran, and the warnings. Also, something could be very relevant when it comes to this attack is the fact that something is cooking when it comes to this potential ceasefire. However, again, it's not going to change anything. Nothing is going to be changed when it comes to the continued attacks, when it comes to Hezbollah. Hezbollah will continue to send missiles. They will continue their actions against Israel so long as Israel continues its genocide and war crimes. This is the second thing that I want to talk to you about. And with regards to the ceasefire, there is no confirmation. There are just talks. Which leads me to the final thing that I wanted to talk to you about. Joe Biden wants or appears to be heading towards handing Donald Trump World War III. So he just authorized Ukraine to use US supplied long range missiles for deeper strikes into Russia. ATACMS. 300-400 mile range, quarter of a ton warhead. And he's authorizing him now to use them against Russia. We had this report. There was one of these reports on AP confirming, alongside other reports too. And again, mentioning the North Korean participation with Russia. And, well, really, the fact that you're talking about a move before this man leaves office. Why would you want to do such a move before you leave office? Okay. The first reason is they know, Biden and Zelensky and NATO, everyone knows that Donald Trump will most likely stop this unlimited supply when it comes to Ukraine. Not with Israel, with Ukraine, though. Israel is a separate issue. And the talk about ending the war in Ukraine is not the same as ending the war in Gaza when it comes to Donald Trump. Why is that? Well, Donald Trump, from his first presidency, from his first term, remember the days before that and all of the talks about Russia holding Donald Trump and holding sensitive information about Donald Trump. That's going back from the days where Donald Trump used to visit Russia previously. Russia and the talks at the time indicated that Russia had very sensitive information when it comes to Donald Trump that could be used against him. And there's suspicion, to an extent that could be true. Again, that's not something we can verify because we haven't seen it. It could be true. Why? Because, well, Trump had a relationship with Vladimir Putin that was different than other countries. Of course, we didn't have the war in Ukraine at the time, but it was different. His tone with Russia. Still, U.S. establishment way, but different than others. However, he also had, that's an argument to say that, well, he didn't just do that with Putin, he also met with Kim Jong-un, for in a historic move on the borders between North and South Korea. But one of the main channels in Russia today published an image of Melania Trump, almost without any clothing, basically. Why did they choose to publish her image today, like on one of the most important TV channels in Russia? Probably to send a message. If we have information on you, Mr. Trump, here's a reminder. That's the first picture. But that's not related to you, by the way, but we're just, hinting that something might come just in case, something happens. And for you to potentially take action even when it comes to the Biden administration. Although Donald Trump can't dictate what the Biden administration does. The only thing Donald Trump can do now is have more involvement in certain matters that relate to him taking office. And Joe Biden already said the transition will be smooth. He sat with him. It was a positive meeting. And he said, we're going to make it very straightforward to hand you the presidency. And he congratulated him, of course. However, that's not necessarily improving things. So Vladimir Putin already said before that any large attack, something along the lines of large-scale attack on Russia, deep into Russian territories with these game-changing weapons, at least when it comes to the Russian-Ukrainian war, will be a direct declaration of war from the United States. And it would justify Russia attacking NATO itself, and it would allow them to use nuclear weapons. Do they not know that? The United States administration, NATO, yes, they do. They do know that. However, they think that, they wouldn't reach that level, Russia. They're constantly trying to stretch the borders. And with the increased assumptions that Donald Trump will indeed cut the funding or significantly decrease it and reach a ceasefire or a peace process, this is their last attempt. A last attempt for what, though? That's the thing here. A last attempt to try and take down Russia. What are these ballistic missiles going to do, right? Even if you use them. Secondly, how reckless and inconsiderate. You've already caused so much harm in Europe, primarily in Europe, by the way, economically, from a security level, the actual talks about a potential ceasefire when it comes to, about a potential nuclear use, when it comes to Europe. All of these things are alarming, So the past few years and the US proxies approach to Russia, they threw everything that they arranged post-World War II in the dustbin. That's no longer the case. They made themselves unsafe, less economically capable, and more at risk than they have ever been before, including divisions from within, internal criticism within European nations, and more countries criticizing the general approach when it comes to Russia. It's not going to change anything. And if Zelensky actually uses those weapons against Russia, that would be a very large escalation that could drag Europe into a larger war that they're not necessarily prepared for. Are they going to use them? Is he going to use them, Zelensky? Even if they do get these missiles, that doesn't mean they're going to use them. They know that the Democrats only have a few months left. They know that Donald Trump is coming. It's a done deal. Zelensky is already talking in a tone where we're going to see some things happening after Trump comes. He already spoke about the fact that it will not be the same without Joe Biden and the Democrats. And Donald Trump already declared that he's going to deal with the war and end it. Well, he said the first day in office. But his statements, of course, they need to be taken with a pinch of salt. But what we do understand is that he indeed is intending to end the war when it comes to Ukraine. In addition to, of course, the leverage that the Russians might have against Donald Trump.